Welcome back to Simply Shemane. I'm so glad you're here. You know, my goal is to cover a little bit of current events, some healthy living tips, talk about family and faith, and just a wide variety of topics. Today, I'm so excited because we have Dinesh D'Souza, who has a new movie coming out, and I can't wait to talk with him about that. You do not want to miss that interview. Another New York Times best-selling author and film producer, Ron Hall, talks about his movie Same Kind of Different as Me and the homeless man who inspired him. Jason Redman, a retired Navy SEAL, author and speaker, talks about the power of positivity in the face of negativity. And another author and publisher, April O'Leary, talks about red flag warnings in addiction. And we always end with something to make you smile, a cute pet video.
Simply Shemane is powered by Patriot Mobile, America's only Christian conservative wireless service provider.
My first guest today is a #1 New York Times bestselling author and award-winning filmmaker, and he's formerly a policy advisor to Ronald Reagan. His books and documentaries, Obama's America, Hillary's America, and Death of a Nation, can bridge culture, theology, philosophy, and history. Dinesh, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure. Good to be on the show.
I think if more people watched your documentaries and read your books, it would open a lot of eyes. In Hillary's America, you say that the left is sowing the seeds of socialism. How so?
Well, the left is moving in that direction in a pretty decisive way. They've decided not to go with the explicit socialism of Bernie Sanders, but with the sort of creeping socialism of Joe Biden. And Biden himself has been adopting the Sanders agenda. So he was against the idea of free college, now he's for it. He was for guns, now he's against them. Same with, he's now embraced the Green New Deal, which is the big kind of umbrella package of socialist ideas. So the Democratic Party which used to be not okay with socialism and would never use the word, is now getting more and more comfortable with the idea of a fully planned economy and increasing government control over our ordinary life.
You know, it's amazing what's happened in just a few short months and how everybody has complied with all these new regulations. They obviously want to destroy America, no matter what the cost. How can we survive this?
What the left relies on is the politics of fear. I think they discovered this in the FDR, Franklin Roosevelt era, because against the backdrop of the Depression, they were able to do all kinds of things that Roosevelt could never have gotten done otherwise. So since then, I came to America in late 1970s as an exchange student. The left has been whipping up the politics of panic. In the 70s, the earth is running out of food. In the 80s, nuclear apocalypse. In the 90s, the ozone layer was apparently dissipating or going away. The last 20 years, we've been hearing nonstop about climate change. Now coronavirus. It's all the same thing. It's sort of like create a crowd stampede and cause us to agree to things that we would not consent to under more rational or calm deliberation. So we've got to realize that this is kind of a racket. Not that the virus is a hoax, but the way it's used is for political advantage.
And in Hillary's America, you talk about her affection for Saul Alinsky and that his book, Rules for Radicals, is actually dedicated to Satan. So this is what we're dealing with.
Yeah, Alinsky was quite explicit about how cunning and deceitful the left needs to be. And the reason we're talking about this obscure guy, Alinsky, who died a long time ago, is he was the mentor both for Obama and for Hillary. Obama studied Alinsky tactics. Hillary was actually a sort of disciple of Alinsky and wrote about him extensively. So Alinsky's point was you have to pin the blame of the bad things that you do on the other side.
Yeah.
At one point, he had actually told a bunch of leftists to dress up as Ku Klux Klan members and show up at a Republican rally. And then when the Republican speaker speaks, to jump up and go, "We love the Republicans, we love the Republicans." Why? Because then the media, which is cooperative, will then say, "Look, the Klan is endorsing the Republicans." Of course, these were leftists dressed up as the Klan, but this kind of dirty tricks was Alinsky's stock in trade, and we can see how those tactics are now kind of at the heart. I mean, a guy dies in a motorcycle accident. They test him for coronavirus. Oops, he's a coronavirus case. You know, there's all kinds of scams and rackets that go on, from the deep state to the media. Alinsky's sort of gospel, you might say, has become the operating playbook of the Democratic Party.
Do you think the coronavirus is in any way linked to the Clintons?
I wouldn't say in the sense that they, created it or something like that, but I do think that we are seeing collusion between the left in this country and foreign elements that don't wish us well. Now, it's kind of ironic in the face of this that we kept hearing about the Russia collusion, and you can see right there the Alinsky tactic. Take the bad stuff that we, the left, are doing and pin it on the Republicans. Say the Republicans are in bed with foreign countries, even though there's not a shred of evidence to indicate that's the case. By contrast, the left works pretty actively with countries like China and with Islamic radical groups abroad in order to push the agenda at home and abroad. There's a lot of evidence that that's been going on. Biden himself has been quoted saying, "Hey, listen, we shouldn't be criticizing China. If China thrives, it's good for us." Now think of it. You've got a totalitarian state that not only that controls the lives of 1 billion people and does so mercilessly under an authoritarian sort of dictatorial regime, and Biden thinks that their success is somehow good for us or tied in with our own. It shows the degree to which the left is in bed with some of these very illiberal regimes abroad that do very bad things to their own citizens.
Your new movie, Trump Card, is coming soon. Tell us about that.
The movie is an extension of a book I published recently called States of Socialism. And the movie doesn't use that title. It focuses on Trump. Why? Because sort of Trump is the large figure, I think, defining the election debate. I mean, the people who vote for him will vote basically for him, and the people who vote against him will be voting on the basis of Trump. Biden is such a sort of non-entity. It's really hard to be excited about him one way or the other. So Trump is the key figure. Now, remember, for most of his career, Trump was the quintessential capitalist. He was a builder. He was an entrepreneur. So he's a very interesting figure in the fight against socialism, not just because he's the political leader of that fight, but also because for most of his career, he has embodied the sort of capitalist entrepreneurial spirit that is the very opposite or antithesis of socialism.
Well, Dinesh, thank you so much for joining me today, and I can't wait to watch the movie, can't wait to read your new book. I'd love to have you come back for an update before the election, if you would.
I look forward to it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, and take care, and stay healthy, and stay happy.
Thank you.
Okay, stay tuned. We have a lot more coming up. We'll be right back.
Patriot Mobile was built on the values of Americans. We are humbled, recently achieving the highest customer satisfaction among all wireless providers. As America's only Christian conservative wireless service provider, you'll receive great performance, and we'll donate a portion of every dollar earned to support your values. Try a wireless company that really cares about you and your values. Call us today, mention Shemane, and get our best promotion.
I am so excited to have New York Times best-selling author Ron Hall here with me today in the studio. Ron, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Shemane.
So you wrote an amazing book, and it turned into a movie called Same Kind of Different as Me.
That's right.
And tell me about it. I've seen it before, but for those who haven't seen it.
It starred Renee Zellweger as my late wife, which that's just a maybe I'm telling too much already. But anyway, my late wife had a dream, a literal dream, and that right before she died, and she told me that God had given her this dream of a homeless man who would change our lives in our city. So she asked me to go with her into the inner city of Fort Worth, Texas, in search of this man of her dreams. And, we didn't know that she was sick. We didn't know anything was going on. She was the healthiest woman that I'd ever met in my life. And so anyway, we go into this inner city and we began searching for this man of her dreams. We didn't find him, so we stopped that day and began volunteering at an old rundown homeless mission. And we'd been there a couple of weeks serving when all of a sudden storms in this giant-looking man wearing no shoes and no shirt and just some raggedy old unzipped breeches. And he's screaming at the top of his lungs, "I'm going to kill whoever done it. I'm going to kill whoever stole my shoes." And she said, "That's him." And I said, "That's who?" She said, "That's the man in my dream." And I said, "Which one?" Because by then he was beating up a lot of the people in the dining hall. And there were about 20 or 30 men involved in this massive fight. And I said, "Well, which one?" And she said, "The one who threatened to kill everyone is the man I had the dream about." And then she looked down at me because by then I had hit my knees. I was so scared and I was trying to hide. And she looked down at me and she said, "And I believe I heard from God that you have to be his friend, Ron, and find out if my dream is real." And I said, "But honey, I was not at that meeting you had with God. And if I'm going to be friends with someone who wants to kill everybody, I should go talk to God myself." So that night I did have a brief conversation with God. And though I didn't hear any audible voice, I know what he told me was that being friends with a homeless man was a small price to pay for the forgiveness that he and my wife had shown me for an affair that I'd had 10 years earlier. And so for Debbie and for God, I began a pursuit of a friendship with this homeless man. And it took me 5 months on a daily basis of going after him in the inner city to finally get him in my car. His name was Suicide, and he lived in a dumpster. So and when I found out, I got him in breakfast one morning. I found out he'd never been to school a day in his life. He had been in Angola State Penitentiary. I didn't find out that day, but I found out that he had been a killer, an addict, and homeless for more than 25 years on the streets. And so he asked me that day, he said, "What is it you want from me?" I said, "I just want to be your friend." And he said, "You want to be my friend?" I said, "Straight up, man, that's all I want to be." He said, "Oh, I want to think about that." I thought, "Hey, buddy, you just looked a gift horse in the mouth. You don't know who I am." I mean, I was an international art dealer. I had become very wealthy, and he was wanting to think about being my friend. I was so arrogant. See, I thought he had nothing to offer me in a friendship. So he had to go think about that. But it was a couple of weeks later, I saw him taking trash out of his dumpster, so I invited him to go get coffee. And we're sitting there having coffee, and he said, "I've been thinking a lot about what you asked me." I said, "What did I ask that required any thought?" He said, "Oh, you asked me if I'd be your friend." I said, "Yeah, well, what do you think?" And he said, "Well, there's something I heard about white folks that really bothers me, and it's got to do with fishing." And I said, "Well, Denver," I found out by then his real name was Denver. And I said, "Well, Denver, I'm not a fisherman." I said, "I'm an art dealer, I'm a rancher and a cowboy, but I don't even own a tackle box or a rod and reel." He said, "I bet you can answer the question, and I need an answer before I decide if I'm going to be your friend." I said, "Okay." "Well, ask me." He said, "Well, I heard when white folks go fishing, they do this thing called catch and release." I said, "Oh, of course they do, Denver. It's a sport. You don't get it?" He said, "No, sir, I don't get it." Because back on the plantation where I grew up in Louisiana, we'd go out in the morning, we'd cut us a cane pole, we'd dig us a can full of worms, and we'd sit on the riverbank all day. And we finally got something on our line, we were really proud of what we caught. And then we'd take it back and we'd share it with all the folk on the plantation. So he said, "It occurred to me, if you just a white man fishing for a friend, and you gonna catch and release, I ain't got no desire to be your friend." And my mind flashed back to Debbie's dream of a poor man who was wise, because what he spoke to me at that moment was the wisest thing I'd ever heard on friendship. And as you can tell by our book and movie, I was hooked. And so he and I became friends. It was a slow dance to friendship. But and through our friendship, he told me, a few months into our friendship, that something bad was getting ready to happen to Miss Debbie. And the next day she was diagnosed with cancer. And but the man I thought had nothing to offer in a friendship for the next 19 months, as my wife fought the mother of all battles with cancer, he was the one that God used to encourage us the most through the darkest days of our lives. And he would show up every morning on our front doorstep with a fresh, relevant message that he had heard from God in the night. And he was never wrong. And even on the last day of her life, he said, this is it. She's going to go home tonight to be in heaven. And she did. And
on that day.
That day. And so she had asked him that day when he had come to visit, and he told her goodbye. He had asked her to speak at her service. So 3 days later, he spoke at her service. And when he got through speaking, he got a standing ovation from more than 1,000 people at a service. First time he'd ever spoken. A homeless, illiterate man spoke for 30 minutes at a funeral. And it was the most inspiring talk I've ever heard in my life. And so anyway, when her final wish to me was, please don't give up on Denver. God is going to bless your friendship in a way you can never imagine. And so after she died, he moved in with me, and he and I lived together for the next over 10 years. And we became roommates, best friends. We traveled the world together, and we raised over $100 million for the homeless.
Oh my gosh, that is an amazing story.
And he became a millionaire.
Did he?
And he gave it all back to the poor and the homeless.
Oh my gosh, that's so awesome. Well, I watched the movie. I'm going to go back and watch it again because now I have goosebumps just hearing that story. I love it. So thank you so much for being here and telling your story.
Thank you.
You've got a podcast?
I have we just launched this week, The Ron Hall Show. Very clever name.
Yes. I wonder what it's about.
It's about inspiring stories or people that are making a difference.
Wow.
And so we'll trade guests sometimes. Yeah.
I would love that.
Yeah.
I would love that. Well, thank you so much for being here and sharing your story. Is there do you have any other books coming up, or was that
I
it?
just wrote the sequel to Same Kind of Different as Me, and it's called Workin Our Way Home. Because when I finally, when I first became friends with Denver, I asked him, what's it like to be homeless? And he looked at me, he said, I don't know, why don't you tell me? I said, well, I live in a very nice home. I've never been homeless. He said, let me tell you something, Mr. Ron. Whether we is rich or whether we's poor or something in between, this earth ain't no final resting place. And he said, so in a way, we all homeless.
Wow.
Just working our way home.
What a wise man.
He was the wisest man I've ever known. And so for that, I took the title for the new book when I tell the rest of the story, and it's called Workin Our Way Home.
Now, how long does it take you to write a book?
Ooh, the first one, when Denver moved in with me, it was his idea to write the book. He told me, he said, Mr. Ron, ain't nobody ever going to believe our story. We got to write us a book. And I said, what's this we, Kimosabe? You don't read and write. And he said, well, I know my part, so I'm going to tell it to you, and you write it down, and you already know your part. Now, so you just write that down. When we get through with it, we're going to put them together. That'll be our book. So for the next 3.5 years, we wrote the book. And I wrote it 13 times start to finish, and got turned down by every publisher in the country, every agent in the country. Nobody wanted to take a chance on a first-time author telling a personal story. And so anyway, I self-published the book, and then the self-published book got picked up by Thomas Nelson HarperCollins. So anyway.
Amazing story. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Shemane.
And for telling your story. I can't wait to read the sequel and see it on the big screen.
That's right.
At my home theater.
You'll get a signed copy later today.
Oh, good. I'm excited. I'm excited. All right. Well, thank you so much. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Patriot Mobile was built on the values of Americans. We are humbled, recently achieving the highest customer satisfaction among all wireless providers. As America's only Christian conservative wireless service provider, you'll receive great performance, and we'll donate a portion of every dollar earned to support your values. Try a wireless company that really cares about you and your values. Call us today, mention Shemane, and get our best promotion.
I'm so excited and honored to have our next guest here. Jason Redman is a retired Navy SEAL, and he's an author and speaker, and I'm so happy to have him here with us. Jason, thank you so much for being here.
Shemane, my honor. Great to be on.
And
thank you.
Especially,
I got my buddy, my furry buddy.
And so, Jason, tell us a little bit about what happened to you and the day that changed your life.
Yeah, absolutely. So really fortunate, served 21 years with the SEAL teams. Was on really the last mission I ever did was in Iraq in a little city outside of Fallujah called Karma, which is how my dog got his name. And my team and I were going after a high-level Al-Qaeda leader and walked into a very well-executed ambush. I was shot 8 times between the body and the body armor, 2 rounds in the elbow and took a round in the face. Fast forward, almost did not make it. Thankfully, my teammates did an amazing job. Air Force AC-130 gunship, we called fire directly on our position. Fast forward 96 hours, I found myself in Bethesda, Maryland at the Naval Hospital and overwhelmed by the amount of information. Doctors were telling me, hey, we're probably gonna have to amputate your arm. You have no use of your left hand. I'm trached, I'm wired shut. I'm being fed through a stomach tube. And there's just a lot of pity. There was a lot of, you're probably never going to be able to do the same things you used to do. It's going to take years to put you back together. And listening to all this, I was like, no, that's not going to be me. And I wrote out this sign. It just said, attention to all who enter here. If you're coming into this room with sadness or sorrow, don't bother. The wounds that I received, I got a job that I love, doing it for people that I love, defending the freedom of a country that I deeply love, and I'll make a full recovery. What is that? That's the absolute utmost physically. I have the ability to recover, and then I'll push that about 20% further through sheer mental tenacity. This room you're about to enter is a room of fun, optimism, and intense rapid regrowth. And if you're not prepared for that, go elsewhere. And the sign went viral, went all over the place, and it is amazing. I talk to people about the power of positivity, the power of choosing positivity in the face of negativity. It's like throwing a big rock into an incredibly still lake. The ripples that go out and how they impact further and further and shores all across the lake. And it's no different in our lives. That sign has gone on to motivate millions of people. It has motivated wounded warriors. President Bush signed it. I went to the White House and met President Bush. He signed it. We had it framed. It hangs in the wounded ward. Secretary Robert Gates wrote about the impact it had on him in his book. First Lady Michelle Obama wrote about it twice in her book. And it just continues. So I tell people this life is so short. And 2020 is such a perfect year. An interesting time. I don't want to say it's a perfect year. Nobody can say that. But it is a perfect time to figure out how to find that positivity in the face of negativity. It is a perfect time for you to post your own sign on the door. What do you stand for? What guides you? And so it's just been this amazing journey, and I'm blessed to still be here.
Love that.
I think you can close the show right now.
Yeah.
You just said it all.
I'm going to drop the mic.
You just dropped the mic.
Right, yes.
Because you said it all. This year we've had so many challenges in the world. I mean, everything. This is a time for people to kind of reflect on what's important in life. Be grateful for every day you wake up. And I think you talked a little bit about this. Find internal happiness within yourself and not things in this external world. Because if you're looking for things out in this world to make you happy, you're not going to find it. It has to start inside. And that's what I think sent you on that journey from the ER to where you're sitting here today. You had internal happiness. You were internal thankful for what you had. And that's why, that's why you're happy. And that's why you're here.
Amen. I mean, and we always should be trying to get better, but so many people are so focused on that next level that they don't take the time to be thankful for what they have or to praise themselves for the progress they've made. And I think that's critically important. You just look at the world, we're so negative in everything. I mean, social media, all these things, we just want to tear each other down instead of celebrating the successes, people are inherently good. I've been all over the world. Mm-hmm. I mean, I have seen the worst parts of the world. And I don't care what race, creed, religion, where you come from, people inherently are good. They want to have a productive, good lifestyle. They want to raise their kids. They want freedom. They want to have fun. And if we could focus more on that and figure out how to bring people together, it'd be awesome.
You think it was purpose? Like, you knew what your purpose was. You were serving your purpose in life. You think a lot of people who don't know their purpose or their meaning, they're the ones that are lost and the most negative?
Absolutely. Purpose is everything. I mean, having to find it. I mean, I worked with wounded warriors who were trying to The military gave you tremendous purpose. You had a mission, you came from a unit, and in this world we live in, it's a little harder to find that. But you have to find it within yourself. What motivates you? What inspires you? What amazing people do you surround yourself with that are in alignment with where you want to go? Because not only are they going to help you get there because they have the same mindset, but you're going to help them get there because you guys are all aligned. So I think it's critical to find that. In the coaching that I've done, it's one of the big things that I talk about. What are your values, and how do we identify what your purpose is, or your mission, as I like to call it.
You know what?
Yeah, absolutely, across the board.
I've worked with a lot of people who don't know what their purpose is. They've been told to do a job. They get up at a certain time. They go to work 5 days a week. They come home. They do the laundry. They cook and they clean and they take care of their families. And they turn 40, 50, 60, 70 and they're depressed and sad. And now even with COVID and with this quarantine, what would you say to people that don't know what their purpose in life is?
First, I would say it's never too late to find it. I think that's a great thing. And second, sometimes we have unrealistic expectations. We think, oh, if I haven't found my purpose, then it's got to be this grandiose thing. Well, it doesn't have to be. If maybe for some people, it could be, I just want to be the best mom or the best dad for my family. So it doesn't take this, earth-shattering, cataclysmic shift in your life to change, but it takes little steps. In my book, Overcome, I write about, it's a Japanese principle called the Kaizen Principle. And it's small incremental steps lead up to great big long-term gains. So if you look at that in your life and you just want to be a better mom or dad in this situation, maybe you're going to work every day and maybe you've gotten into this monotony and you're like, man, I'm really not doing anything with my life. But if you take a step back and say, you know what, my legacy is raising amazing kids. My legacy is being the best mom or dad I ever could be. And I would be able to lay on my deathbed and say, what a great job I did. I raised amazing kids. I had this great circle of influence. I impacted my community in the manner that I'm able to. That's purpose. Sometimes we just aren't able to take a step back to see where we can have that greatest impact.
Where's the best resource to get more information on your books and to get a hold of you to speak to, I'm sure you speak to companies.
Absolutely.
Civic organizations?
JasonRedman.com. You can find all my information, speaking. You can find both of my books and all my social media handles.
Jason, tell me a little bit about Karma.
So Karma is my buddy. He's 5 years old. He's a long-haired German Shepherd. He is named after the city where I was wounded, and now he's a little bit of a walking miracle himself. About a month ago, Karma impaled himself on a stick. When he was going after a stick, it went in his mouth, under his tongue, and punched through the back of his throat. And he's a walking miracle. It missed his esophagus, it missed his carotid artery, it missed major nerve damage, and I'm just super fortunate because he's my best friend.
Yeah.
So PSA: be careful throwing sticks with your dogs.
Yes.
Frisbees, balls. Man-made, not sticks.
Great
Yes.
advice there.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here, for taking the time and sticking around, hanging out with us, and for bringing Karma too. We love it.
Shemane,
God bless you.
Thank you guys both.
You know, and I have to say too, saying thank you for your service just doesn't seem like enough, but thank you very much for your service. We're behind you 150%. If there's ever anything that we can do for you, please let us know.
Thank you. My honor. So.
Stick around. We'll be right back. Our dogs are like family to us. Honestly, the highlight of my day is being able to spend time with them. No matter what kind of mood I'm in, bad hair, they don't care. And they always make me smile. Except, of course, when they don't feel good. Rough Greens is 100% natural, highly concentrated nutrition from fruits and vegetables with essential vitamins and minerals, probiotics, no GMOs, added corn, or artificial ingredients. And you know what? My dogs love it. I became a customer before they sponsored this show. If you want your dogs to have better joint health, better digestion, and more energy, add Rough Greens to their food and keep your furry friends a part of your family for a long, long time. Use promo code Shemane for 10% off any purchase. April O'Leary is an author, a publisher, a life coach, and a mom of 3 girls, 3 teenage girls. April, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Shemane. So excited to be here.
And I have to, a huge disclaimer, you're one of my besties. So thank you so much, April, for taking time out of your busy schedule. So we wanted to talk today, some of the books that you published and some of the books that you have written, you have worked with people who have had addictions in the past. And we wanted to talk about some red flags that other people are talking about that might show signs of addictions to come.
So addiction is just an allergy that the body has to alcohol or whatever the substance is. And it's no different than an allergy with strawberries or peanuts or something like that. I like to view it that way because it really reduces the stigma of the addiction, which is just really a reaction of your body to the substance. Just like if you eat strawberries and you break out in a rash, then you say like, oh, I better not eat strawberries anymore. So it really is no more difficult than that.
Now, I know you told me before that you went into some jails and spoke with women about addiction. How was that experience for you?
You know, it's really interesting. I think that, we were talking about red flags or ways to recognize if you have the disease of addiction. And, there's a saying amongst the people that are in the recovery community that people usually end up locked up, covered up, or sobered up. And so the unfortunate reality is a lot of people that don't catch some of the earlier warning signs do end up in jail because of drug or alcohol related incidences. And, it's really sad. I actually was there on Mother's Day one year, and there were a lot of really sad moms in the recovery meeting that I was leading. And it's really such a devastating thing. But hopefully they can get the help they need in there and not be repeating that. They can get into recovery.
We saw recently in the news that Lisa Marie Presley's son had died of an overdose. And we see so many, unfortunately. What do you say to moms who are starting to see the red flags with their kids, moms and dads? What can they do?
Yeah, it's so difficult. It's so difficult. The hardest thing as a parent, and as you said, I'm a parent of 3 teen daughters. I'm also in recovery myself. And it's like, I know the red flags and the warning signs, but the truth is no one can make the decision for you. And one of the hardest things to do is to accept the truth when you see the truth for the pattern that it is. It's coming out of denial. And, that's the hardest thing is like, oh, it won't happen next time. Oh, that was just a one-time thing. Oh, I won't, next time will be different. But the truth is, and I know you talk a lot about healthy lifestyle and healthy eating, you can't show up at the gym one day and expect a result, so you have to every day commit towards your health for that day. And so it really is just a once a day time. And for a parent, it's just not enabling your kid. It's not helping them stay in denial. It's saying there's some consequences here and you're going to have to live up to these consequences if you don't make the changes necessary.
You have a publishing company and 3 teenagers. How do you do it all? How do you manage everything?
Honestly, I look at moms who have toddlers, especially with COVID and all this, at home time. I cannot imagine doing this with little ones. So my heart goes out to all those moms with little kids. For me, with 3 teen daughters, they're awesome. I mean, they manage their school at home. That's what, they're looking at possibly even for this fall, depending on what the state decides and the district decides. But it's just setting your time priorities, getting your work in, getting your family time in, cooking, cleaning, what all the other stuff is. It's a lot to juggle, but it's fun. I love it.
Well, good. And I'm so grateful that you took the time out of your busy schedule to come on my show, and I'm going to be seeing you very soon. I can't wait.
Can't wait.
All right,
so,
Chica.
Thank you so much.
We always call each other Chica, so have a
Chica.
you know my thing, Chica. Have a great day. Make it a great day. Do something. What do I say? Happy and healthy for you today. You're supposed to fill in the blanks.
Exactly. All I know is bye.
Okay, let's do it. Ready? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Bye.
Okay. Jebs. Go, doggy. Wanna go for a walk? Wanna go for a walk? Yeah. Yeah? Let's go. You wanna go for a walk? Come on. Oh, hold on. You can't just put your head into it. It doesn't work like that. Okay.